May I come?
Yes, please come.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Varda. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, am I addressing you correctly,
Yes, sir.
Varda?
Wardah.
So, Varda, let's have your more introduction.
My name is Wardah Khan. I was born and brought up in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh, from where I completed my school education. Thereafter, I went on to pursue Bachelor's in Commerce from Khalsa College, University of Delhi. After which, I worked briefly as an audit associate at one of the big four consultancies for 8 months. Since 2021, I have been preparing for civil services exam.
So, Varda, for 8 months, you must have got into the culture of a private sector, that too an MNC.
Yes, sir.
Lovely working compared to old offices of government. So,
Yes,
how would you transform your that habit that you have developed in KPMG kind of organization to a civil servant sitting in a small subdivisional office somewhere in a district in Uttar Pradesh?
So I believe the requirements of both of these work environments are different. For instance, an administrative role requires us to be more receptive towards the needs of the people who we are responsible to and who we are accountable to. Whereas in a private sector, it is a very cutthroat competition wherein we are required to be proficient in the practical application of our theoretical skills. So this is what I believe. In response to the transition question, sir, I believe that my training and the multidisciplinary understanding that I've gained during the preparation for the mains and the prelims would help me acclimatize to the environment.
So you're staying in Noida, Vardha?
Yes, sir.
So Noida is one of the clean cities as per the latest report. Have you read the papers today?
So not in detail, sir.
But where is Noida's? Where does it stand?
So it would be difficult for me to take a guess.
UP's best city, best district. Not
Yes, sir.
aware. So I will. All right, doesn't matter. So tell me, uh, the interim budget is going to be presented.
Yes, sir.
So what is this interim? How is the interim budget different from a regular budget? And what is vote on account?
Yes, sir. So, interim budget is generally introduced in the year when the general elections are going to be held and a new government would be formed. So, since the incumbent government cannot be sure of whether it would return to power, it can basically prepare a short-term account of the economic plans that it has for the country. And vote on account is the amount that would be required by the government for the administrative purposes and expenditure on the ongoing schemes till the complete budget is enacted.
So does interim budget include revenue also or only expenditure?
So I'm not particularly aware of this.
And vote on account?
So vote on account is concerning the expenditure.
Expenditure. Okay, good. What is PM Kisan's scheme?
So PM Kisan Samman Nidhi was introduced as a direct income support to the primarily to the small and marginal farmers, and overall it covers those farmers who are either not in some form of government service or they are not in a possession of there is a regulatory limit to the amount of land that they must possess, and also the income tax paying farmers are excluded from the
Do you
benefit.
think this kind of cash support and money support, direct money support, is good for the country?
So there are two reasons that I would like to give in support of this scheme. So first is because it does not bound the farmer in any regard. For instance, when we give the electricity or the fertilizer subsidy, then they can only procure it for those particular benefits. But a direct income support would provide them working capital for their other operational needs. So it is not market distorting. And secondly, sir, it is also in compliance with the WTO norms.
Okay. My last question. You are a district magistrate of some district in Uttar Pradesh. You go to a village and you find a very, very, very poor family who doesn't have a house and they apply for PM Awas Yojana as per your advice. But they are not found eligible on all points, but they are very poor and you actually want to help them. What would you do? And you are a very compassionate civil servant.
So first, I would try to ascertain the inadequacies in the procedural requirements in terms of the documentation where they are lacking, and I would take them on board and fast track the process of the completion of the documentation.
You realize that there's still that deficiency is still there.
Yes, sir. Um, in the meanwhile, there are certain community shelters that are run by the government and
So you will
NGOs
not
also.
consider them to be allotted
So for the
under the
in
scheme.
the absence of documentation, also.
You will. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Wardah, in our constitution, there are some schedules. Have you heard about it?
Yes, sir.
There is a fifth schedule. What is fifth schedule of constitution?
So, a fifth schedule is in respect of providing autonomy to certain areas that may be having a different demographic composition, predominantly occupied by the tribal people. And those areas are designated as such by the president in consultation with the governor of the
Okay.
concerned states.
What is, there is a sixth schedule also. What is sixth schedule?
So, sixth schedule provides autonomy in respect of administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura.
Not in UP.
No, sir.
Why not in UP?
So, because the tribal composition there and the unique terrain challenges require a different kind of autonomy given to them for administration purposes.
Only few days back, this vibrant Gujarat summit happened, you know.
Yes, sir.
Who was the chief guest there?
So, I believe it was the Prince of UAE.
Prince of?
UAE, sir.
Yes. King of UAE.
Yes, sir. King of UAE.
So Wardah, tell me, how are our relations with Saudi Arabia? India and Saudi Arabia relations?
Yes, sir. So, India has been cultivating a healthy relationship with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, since it is also modernizing its economy now, they are developing the new state, the island city of Neom. So, in respect of that, India has also pledged cooperation. Besides this, in respect of the Hajj pilgrimage that takes place annually, there have been cooperation, and recently our Union Minority Affairs Minister had also visited the holy city of Medina.
So why there was a controversy when she visited Medina?
So, because normally the twin cities of Makkah and Medina are not open to non-Muslims.
Yes. So what does it indicate? How the social system in Saudi Arabia is also getting transformed for people? Very good. It's a good thing now. So what type of social transformation they are taking up nowadays?
So it shows they are becoming more accommodative of different faiths and welcoming to people belonging to it.
Good. Wardah, do you know something about biogas?
Yes, sir.
What is biogas?
So it is a fuel that is developed by making use of the destroyed feedstock, foodstuffs, or third generation biofuels are prepared from microorganism, but that is still largely a concept now.
So is there government, has government come up with some schemes that this biogas,
Yes,
some
sir.
mixing or something like that?
Yes, sir. So there have been numerous schemes to promote this. So the Gobardhan scheme is there, the Jeevan scheme is there, the ethanol blending program is also put into
Okay.
place.
My last question is about this climate change, this perennial problem of climate change. There is a national action plan of government of India on climate change. Do you know something about it? What is the national action plan on climate change?
So there are nationally determined contributions that India has pledged that it would be making. Some of the postulates of it include that we have pledged to achieve a net zero by 2070.
What net zero? Net zero what?
So it basically means that the limit of emitting all the carbon emissions for the purpose of development would reach its maximum by 2070, and thereafter we'll try to capture the carbon that has been emitted.
But the next national action plan, Wardah, it talks about certain areas like mountains, like, have you heard about it? Like sustainable agro.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So I believe that it has a very multidimensional plan in respect of the Indian Himalayan region, for instance. So it in order to protect the biodiversity, there is the snow leopard protection program is there. Then environmental impact assessment is conducted before construction of infrastructural projects. So in respect of agriculture, we are striving towards a climate smart agriculture while ensuring the rights of the farmers. And in respect of industries, particularly in thermal power plants, we are trying towards installing the flue gas desulfurization in the chimneys, so that the emission is curbed coming from these. Yes.
Not exactly that, but reduced
Yes, sir.
to certain level, to a great extent.
Yes, sir.
Good, Wardah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Wardah, IAS is your first choice,
Yes, sir.
right? So tell me this Nijjar and Pannu, India stand on these two issues. What does it reflect on our foreign policy?
So, first of all, the Canadian Prime Minister had made a rhetorical statement in the House. Justin Trudeau had made the statement that India was allegedly involved behind the killing of the Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. But since not enough leads were provided to India for it to cooperate and investigate on the charges made, therefore diplomatic tensions brew in this regard. And consequent to it, India had also asked the Canada to reduce the size of its diplomatic mission in India. So as regards the Gurpatwant Singh Pannu incident, the US Department of Justice had brought out an indictment report alleging that an Indian official had hired a hitman named Nikhil Gupta, who was supposed to carry out the assassination of this Khalistani separatist. But because the details of the allegations have been provided by the USA government, so the government of India still is cooperating with them to investigate the matter.
My question was, how does our stand, what is our stand, government of India stand on this one? Is it in line with our foreign policy?
Sir, India is trying to investigate the charges in respect of USA, sir.
You were senior correspondent. All right, so let me talk about this speeches and debates on TV. Most of them are for increasing the TR. What should be done? Don't you think these speeches they are sort of creating hate politics?
So, media is widely regarded as the fourth pillar of democracy, and rightly so, because it expresses the voice of the people of India and makes the people aware about the ongoing state of affairs. But at the same time, there are certain guidelines of ethics that it must hold itself accountable to, wherein it is not inciting any sort of communal, casteist, or sexist tensions across the society. So these are taken care of by government regulations.
Okay. You are a commerce graduate. Is India commerce friendly?
Sorry, sir.
Is India commerce friendly?
Yes, sir. So I believe that as is evidenced by India's efforts and India's ranking in the ease of doing business reforms that was published a few years ago by World Bank, and being a large exporter of multiple commodities, India has been very vocal of developing its commercial environment and the economy in general, which is why we are the fifth largest economy in the world right now. So.
One last question. 5 steps that India has taken during last 75 years that have made India stronger.
So can I take a moment to think? So I would like to distribute those 5 measures across multiple domains. So for instance, in respect of living up to the image of being the mother of a democracy, recently a law was enacted regarding the appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner, whereas earlier it used to be concentrated in the hands of the executive. The voice of leader of opposition has also been included now. So second, in the field of technology, we see that data is now regarded as the new oil, and there is much concern about protection of privacy of the citizens. So the Digital Data Protection Act has also been finalized by the government in 2023. So thirdly, I would say in respect of our foreign policy, India has positioned itself as the voice of the global south and the developing countries fighting for climate justice and reforms in multilateral institutions like the UN. So in education sphere, because India is right now having a window of demographic dividend, it is very important to upskill and educate our youth better. So the new education policy 2020 has been brought about. So in order to emerge as an industrial leader also, in manufacturing sector, the PLI scheme was introduced by India to give a push to 14 sunrise sectors.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Wardah, a lot of good things are happening in UP on economic development front. Right. India, UP is targeting to become $1 trillion economy. Expressways are coming, airports are coming. What about social? What is your feeling about the development of society in UP? Economic development is good, fine. What about social?
So on the social front, in certain areas that we can see that it is also connected to the economic initiatives that it has taken. For instance, the construction of the Ram Janambhoomi temple would have a multiplier effect in terms of attracting a tourist. So religious tourism has also picked up in UP. So besides this, in the field of menstrual hygiene of women, in 2015, a scheme was brought for free of cost provisioning of the menstrual hygiene products in government schools. Other areas that I can think of right now is in the sports sector, in order to ensure that more athletes make it to the international games and win medals for the country. UP has also brought its own first state sports policy in 2018. So these are some
Okay,
of the
fine. Sorry.
issues.
Now tell me, women are safer, in your opinion, are safer in UP or Delhi? Because you also studied in Delhi. Where do you think women are safe?
So from my personal experience, I felt that I felt more safe while being in Prayagraj, sir. And UP has also undertaken a lot of measures to improve its law and order system. For instance, we see that in 7 districts out of the total 75, the police commissionerate system has emerged, so as to tackle the crimes in rapidly urbanizing areas like Ghaziabad, Varanasi, Prayagraj. So, as regards Delhi, there have been measures fast-tracked after the heinous crime of the Nirbhaya case. The Nirbhaya Fund is now being actively utilized to provide facilities like women guards on the DTC buses and all.
Now, Wardah, the decriminalization of provisions of some this companies, Act, Company Act 2030. In what way do you think it will promote corporate governance? Do you think it was a good step to promote corporate governance in the country? Decriminalization.
So I believe that the decriminalization measure was largely taken in respect of certain civil offences or economic offences involving small amounts that do not directly lead to mistrust among the investors. So that is a positive step in the sense that it would attract investors and bring about more stability in the investment policy of the government, sir.
Now, Wardah, this Red Sea, you are seeing that lot of attacks are happening in Red Sea area, and India is one of the countries which is most affected by this. And there is an alliance working under the leadership of US there. And in fact, yesterday, day before yesterday also, they averted a very big attack by Houthis. So, why India doesn't join that alliance? India has not joined it. India is, of course, it has positioned its own missile destroyer there, but it has not joined that alliance. That is Operation Prosperity Guardian.
Gotcha. So I believe is that India's foreign policy has had a long-standing principle of non-alignment, particularly with any militarized blocs. So India doesn't side with the parties when it comes to conflicts, but our domestic capabilities are well equipped to thwart any such threats that are coming, and we are also ready to extend any form of cooperation in terms of resources and manpower.
Okay. What is the golden triangle in Indian Constitution? The golden triangle in Indian Constitution.
So I believe it is the legislature, executive, and the judicial.
Oh. Now my last question was the environment versus ecology. So how do you see India is positioned? What what instrument is available in terms of legal policy issues to ensure that environment is also protected while we are undertaking our journey of economic growth.
So India has a lot of legislations in place to ensure the biodiversity and ecosystem conservation. First of all is the environmental impact assessment.
That is one. EIA is one.
Yes, sir.
What else?
So second, we have the biosphere reserves, which ensure that the nearby tribal and forest dwelling communities live in harmony with the nature. So we also have the National Green Tribunal, which prosecutes cases.
Thank you.
So, Vardha, why do you wish to join civil services?
So there are 2 to 3 reasons for my decision to join civil services. So the first and foremost, it would be to create a large-scale impact in the society, to transform the lives of my brethren, the citizens of our country, which would provide a sense of purpose to my life, sir.
I see your first choice is foreign services, right? So, if you were to be made foreign ambassador of India to any country, so 3 things which you would like to promote about India.
So in recent years, India has been working towards the promotion of its soft power diplomatic efforts. So in this regard, I would try to position India's cultural ethos, art festivals, our dietary patterns. I would like to promote these on a global scale. So second would be regarding the extension of the development assistance, particularly to the least developed countries, small island developing states, and our neighborhood, which would strengthen our neighborhood relations. So third, India has been continuing to provide manpower and resources to the UN peacekeeping operations. So I would double up that efforts.
A strong Pakistan or a weak Pakistan, which is good for India?
So I believe a stable but a weak Pakistan would be favorable for India.
Why?
So when it is important to ensure that there is domestic stability all around in our neighborhood, so that there are no fallouts of the internal politics or the separatism that might erupt in our land. And so weak because militarily and economically, there are always aspirations of every country to be on the top, and similar would be for India. So.
You are a student of sociology also, or optionally sociology.
Yes.
Okay. So, 3 changes which you would like to see in our society.
So the first and foremost would be the attitude and thinking of the people with respect to women. The gendered roles that have been allocated, so that needs to be questioned, and more symmetry in the relationship needs to be brought about. So second would be the integration of the tribals. So they have been left behind in the developmental race. So it would be prudent to take them along, but in consonance with their practices, so that they do not feel alienated. So the third thing that I would like to change is regarding reduction of the casteist communal tensions that might be a threat to the unity of the societies.
What are your views on reservation for women in civil services?
So I believe that women can be accorded reservation in the civil services, because as it is, their representation right now is less than 50%. But women on their own merit are also coming ahead, and we see numerous top rankers year after year finding their names in the list. But at the same time, to encourage the women and give them an early push, because women would be more sensitive when it comes to policy making in areas concerning women and children particularly. So it would be prudent to have women in this regard. And
So,
also,
would you propose for 50% reservation or 33% reservation?
so I think we can begin with 33%, because that is now applicable in respect of the local bodies also, and we are deliberating in parliament also.
Okay, my last question is from your hobbies section. You like reading non-fiction books. So, which is the latest one or your favorite one, and what was it about?
So the last book that I read was India's Last Heroes, about P. Sainath, and it was about the foot soldiers of India's freedom struggle, which means that the common people who couldn't find their names in the history books because they maybe did not make extraordinary sacrifices, but because of the limited efforts they brought about a change.
And what is this reflecting walking?
It's so it is basically a convergence of the pensive thinking that is a part of my personality trait, and also in order to keep myself healthy, I have adopted it as a lifestyle practice.
Okay, thank you, Varda. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Vardha, anything which has not been covered from your DAF and you wish that I ask a question from that left out subject, if any?
So I believe I have been asked questions from almost all areas.
Okay. So Vardha, thank you. We close our interview now. We will proceed to the adjoining room. We'll call you over.
Thank you, sir.
Vardha. Vardha, how have you done today?
I think I performed decent.
Decent. How do you compare it with uh, this is the first mock you're giving today?
No, sir, I've given a couple of
Can you
mocks.
be louder?
So I've given a couple of mocks.
So that's my first lesson. That's your first lesson.
Yes, sir.
That you have to be louder.
Yes, sir. I've received this quite often.
Yes. So you need to, I mean, I won't use the word correct, but you need to be louder. Both, you have energy, you have, I mean, you are amazing that way. But to be louder means, you're not just, you will be more audible, but you would also be making, speaking effectively, bringing some more energy. So, but Vardha, before I go into other areas, smaller areas, you have done amazingly well.
Thank you, sir.
We have found you one of the best in this season.
Thank you, sir.
And from all angles, with your knowledge, with your communication, with the words that you select, the promptness with which you answered, the balanced judgment character that you have, and your personality, you were at ease, comfortable, everything is good, flawless. But since we have come here, we do observe even the most perfect person, you can find out some things for improvement.
Certainly, sir.
So we have also tried to find one or two. One is, of course, I have already mentioned, be louder. Second is just to draw your attention to two, three answers that you gave. You mentioned about the ethics with regard to media. The honorable member had said that in case, during these talks and all, you come out with something which can conflagrate, which can, create tensions among communities and all. So it is not just ethical, it is illegal also,
Yes, sir.
unconstitutional also. Article 19 is not unconditional. Mentions this, anything public order. So you have to just use the word legal first and then ethical. Both the things. If somebody wants, and there have been occasions where somebody on TV, this thing, may have, gone into the, to file some case against or complaint against. People don't do it, but then if you strictly watch, you may find that some of the utterances are not in legal terms. That's one. Second small thing, you mentioned IAS, civil services. I have two, three reasons, but you gave only one reason. See your video. You enlarge that first reason that you want to do something for the society. So either you don't say two, three reasons straight away, because you never know when you may have to stop.
Yes.
Thoughts should flow. अब दूसरा नहीं आया तो तुम्हें कहना पड़ेगा सॉरी सर. सॉरी सर तो होना ही नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है ना. Start with some. So the reason why I want to join civil service is this. And so there's another reason. If you remember something, add कर दो.
Yes, sir.
ऐसे ही आप 3-4 reasons, multiple reasons avoid कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. Unless you are totally sure about it. Third small point, with it is the question of honorable member who asked you last, women reservation. If you take this line, you may invite more embarrassing questions of reservation.
Yeah, actually, I have been asked this question earlier, and I took an opposite stance there.
So you are advised not to.
So, but then he asked me about a reservation in other areas and said that you are now contradicting your own stance. You are giving reservation in other areas, but not.
See, you have to, that is what is important. If you read constitution, the reservations can only be for a class. Now, if you consider women as a class, it's a different thing. But reservation in elections or that way, even through the earlier amendment, 73rd, 74th amendment, you have reservation of women for ages.
Yes, sir.
What do you say? But this reservation has come. So that way reservation of women had been there from the beginning, almost 30 years advance. So you cannot compare a reservation in the that way you have reservation everywhere. But here you have to mention that which you mentioned later on. The
Yes,
second
sir.
part, justifies why reservation is. You also mentioned you rather contradicted yourself. So although first, second, third positions have come, the women are getting, you don't have to measure in terms of percentage. That way, suppose if, I'm just for discussion's sake, suppose if OBCs are getting, are coming only less percent, or maybe whatever is the number of OBC and they are, India is getting, civil service is getting less OBCs. So you think they should think of restructuring and increasing the quota or reservation? That way it can happen to anyone.
So had I been asked a follow-up, I was planning to say that because representation is less, that can be taken as a parameter.
No, but representation, you see, you have to go with the merit of, that particular issue also. It is not just that, everything is mathematics, that, okay, it is 10%, let us make it 30%. And when you talk of the higher civil service, it means that somebody is, going to run this country. So from that angle, you have to justify with number one, sir, there are the women are very well represented. The toppers are, most of the time we see toppers also come. Number two, uh, 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 number two, I'm forgetting. But at the same time, you can say, sir, what we can do is we can bring more awareness in it. And probably they are not getting represented because they are still not entering into that area. Same is for defense also. Army, they have opened, but they have not opened there. Civil service has been open to women, 100%, whatever, whoever wants. So try to avoid this particular stand. Otherwise, you will be questioned more. And then it's a question of dignity of women also. Women are not so weak that they can't get into it. अगर किसी के रहमत पर आप सिविल सर्विस में आए, वो शायद गवारा ना हो, क्यों?
Yes.
Wardah, you have done excellent today. Magnificent. Very good. I mean, you have answered very well. In your Indian Foreign Service is the first choice. So you got few days. Read in everything, all the nuances of the Indian policy towards Southeast Bloc, Middle East Bloc, and India's agreement with this free trade agreement with countries.
Yes, sir.
These three are very important. And the regular wars, this
Yes.
Israel war and Ukraine war and this. And two more. India and Africa. Economic relations as well as security relations. And India and Argentina, lithium and all. ये आप 5-6 एरियाज हैं, इनको आप बढ़िया से बना लो, पॉइंट वाइज 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sir.
ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
So you will do that, and then India. Oh, and one more thing, India and its neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
दैट इंडिया नेबरहुड सबका पाकिस्तान बांग्लादेश भूटान वो सबका जो जो जिसका जैसा जैसा इतने आप बना लो
Thank you, sir.
ठीक है
Yes, sir.
इनको ब्लॉक करके बना लो टोटल मैरिटाइम सिक्योरिटी इंडियन ओशियन सब इट विल इंक्लूड एवरीथिंग ओवर देयर मालदीव ब्लैक सी
Yes, sir.
एंड आई आल्सो आई कोरबोरेट चेयरमैन सर अबाउट योर दिस क्वेश्चन आप ये जो है कि ये सिविल सर्विस में रिजर्वेशन वाला वो आई थिंक यू शुड नॉट आप बोलिए के साथ सिविल सर्विस में नहीं होना चाहिए बिकॉज हम अपनी मेहनत अपने बलबूते पे आएंगे और मेरिट के बेस पे होना है
Yes, sir.
ये सब ठीक है आई थिंक दैट विल बी अ बेटर आंसर आई ऑल्सो फील दैट
Yes, sir.
ओवरऑल यू आर ए फंटास्टिक वेरी मार्वलस कैंडिडेट
Thank
यू
you,
विल
sir.
डू वेरी वेल ऑल द बेस्ट
Thank you, sir.
So Varda, well done.
Thank you.
That's all I can say. One important statistics, number of women candidates are going up every year. So look into the statistics of number of women candidates. It's increasing every year. So that is another point that supports the fact that there should be no reservation. On their own, they are coming up. Your handling Nijjar and Pannu was very good. PM's visit outside, FM's visit outside, or defense minister, he is also abroad. So those are the important events. Or some dignitary coming to India. आपका इंटरव्यू है 18 तारीख को, so not many days. So just be on the lookout for important events happening in the international front. Then Red Sea and what is happening in Red Sea. So that's important. Your reply on 75 years and 5 things that have made India stronger was very good. Where you categorized and you touched upon almost everything. So that's how it should be. I'm very good.
Thank you, sir.
The same here, nothing more to add. Just speak a little louder. I felt, in fact, I found difficulty on one or two occasions to understand what you were saying.
Yes, sir.
Just 10%. But be natural.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to put extra. Be natural. 5-10% if you can.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, you are right. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
So, Vada, same from my side. You have done very well. You are going to score very high in the interview. Just maintain this tempo and keep revising. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. So just,
Varda, any questions from your side?
so the question that you asked, whether weak or strong Pakistan. So whether the
It was a
answer,
good answer.
I like your answer.
It's a very good answer.
It was a very innovative new answer.
बहुत अच्छा
She
निकला.
said कि
Not stable but
stable but
Stable but weak.
Very, very good.
You can say stable but not so strong.
हाँ yeah that is better way to say stable weak मत बोलो stable but not so strong yes that is a very good answer मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा
that's
So, how have you done, Vardha, your means?
so it went good in my opinion, sir.
We are very keen on seeing your photograph somewhere. Huh? You will do very well. Keep your tempo like this and be natural as we were today. You're doing great. Well done.
all the
Thank